Welcome everyone to Case2. Say hi, YouTube. Shout out to the Lord Shiro for rating. He is currently playing Danganronpa. If you want to catch Lord Shiro playing Danganronpa, twitch.tv/the Lord Shiro. Give him a follow. He's there on screen. Yeah, he's currently on Game 1 Case 2, and he has it gone. But welcome to Case 1 Game 2. I'm not gonna lie, the credit scene kind of didn't sit well with me after, so it was so I'm hoping we get some good closure here. I felt so bad for the lady in Case 2 and whatnot. Here we go. I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue. Oh no, did I not save? Or can I go straight to... Do I just... Hold on. I want to press continue. Do I just press new game? What's going on here? Yeah, I need to choose adventure. I figured. There we go. Alright, welcome everyone to Ace Attorney Resolve. In before she couldn't even get on the ship. Like the ship probably had issues halfway. Nice tree. I knew he was dead.
Standing here in the bright sunshine, looking out over the vast ocean. Those days in London seem like a dream.
With my totally English accent, that I'm not a Japanese lady.
Capital.
How hard is it to get a person who is Japanese that speaks English?
Into a truly wonderful lawyer.
Yeah, sure I have.
I've no doubt that at this very
I'm not falling for it, Zero.
Fighting some noble cause in court.
Yeah.
Forgive me for taking so long to come to visit you. My life has been such a whirlwind since I returned. And no one could have predicted what has happened. Just 2 months after arriving home.
Only 2 months. Another awful crime. Alright, so typically case ones are easy kind. Oh, it's her again! I want that bitch dead! I already know.
So I came here today to ask something of you. Tomorrow, I shall be standing in court. For the only time in my life. As a lawyer.
Wait, what? Wait.
So please.
She's dead!
I ask for your
Wait!
Kazuma-sama.
The dead bird! What the hell? The Adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. Am I playing as her? Can we actually? Yo, this is gonna be hype in the games like this. Gotcha, she dead, bro. I want that bitch dead. She dead. You're welcome. 13 August, 8:26 a.m. I'm playing a Sasato. Yo, okay. I feel so nervous, but I must steel my nerves and find a way to compose myself. Oh, he's alive. Ah, good, you're here. It doesn't do for a lawyer to be late. Oh, yes, good morning, sir. I hardly recognize you. You cut a fine figure, counsel. But you look as white as a sheet, and those wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Oh, dear. I hope the whole game's with Sasato. Like, The truth is I'm so incredibly nervous I feel utterly nauseated. I almost wish that I'd never been born. Goodness, not the sort of thing a father hopes to hear from his daughter, I must say. Eugen Mikoroba, professor of medicine at Imperial University, a man who earlier in his life traveled to Great Britain to study the latest advances in forensic medical science. And of course, my brilliant father. Excuse me. Oh, she's cute. Would I be correct in thinking that you're to be my lawyer in court today? Oh, yes. Yes, that's right, miss. Well, I want to thank you for agreeing to represent me. I swear on my life. It's a complete fabrication, this whole thing. Ray Menbani. Born in the same year as I and my greatest friend. Though unusual for a woman in our time, she works at the University Research Laboratory helping my father. And sadly, she's the defendant in today's trial. Accused of committing a truly awful murder. Are you feeling alright? Since we started talking, you seem, well, to have become a little flushed. Oh my, it's just that you look so gallant and dashing. Sorry? And when I fall under your intense gaze, it makes me feel rather bashful. Did Sasato change her outfit? I need to see this outfit. Goodness, I don't think she knows. She hasn't realized who I am. Did Sasato have a growth spurt? Wahahaha. It would seem our little plan for this trial is going to work. Oh, what? What do you mean? Professor Mikoroba. If even your best friends can't see through the disguise, I think we can relax. Disguise? Yes, I've never tried dressing this way before. Of course, I wasn't sure how convincing it would be. Let's be honest about this girl. But it does make me feel a little relieved as you say father. Father? Oh no, did she dress up as... Who did she dress up as? Is that you, Sasato? Is she not a Hono or is she Kazuma? I'm so sorry I didn't say anything. No, what are you doing? What's going on? What's... Look at you. You look for all the world, all the student in the Imperial Yume University. She's a male student. Is she Kazuma? I'm so glad you think so. It means all my preparations have been worthwhile. I woke up at 4 this morning to make a start. But I don't understand. Why are you dressed like that? Well, you see. It was the only way. The only way she would be permitted to the Supreme Court to take on your defense in this trial. Of course, because females aren't allowed in the courtroom because Japan's so backwater at the time. My defense? Never before in my life have I felt so frustrated that I've been born into this body. Courts in Japan are barred to women. We're not even allowed to set foot inside the courtroom, which is ridiculous. Despite the fact that the laws of the land apply to all people, male and female, alike. But women are forbidden. Just for today, I'll be leaving my true self at the courtroom door, so that I can act as your lawyer. Oh, Sasato, you go to such lengths for me. Of course, you're my greatest friend. I just worry that I shan't be the lawyer you deserve. Bring Science Girl back. Dude, Science Girl is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, I still have a heart pounding for our nice long-haired blonde. Oh no, I have complete faith in you, Ray. It's so strange, though. I mean, you're such an accomplished judicial assistant already. And yet, just because you're a woman. What a wretched reason. I mean, why shouldn't you be allowed in court? You're so gallant and dashing. Ray. Please don't look at me like that. With those flushed cheeks and doting eyes. I see you're a man of culture as well. Oh, I'm sorry. You just really look so dashing. Yes, you mentioned that once or twice. Wahahaha. You should be pleased. It means you look convincing as a man. I am pleased, I think. It certainly helped to bolster my confidence today. Oh no, I just realized who's the prosecution. I'm gonna get my my throat ready, because I know what I'm doing. but I can see through it. I've noticed how your shoulders are slumped and how you're trembling ever so slightly. Sasato, you do believe me, don't you? I didn't do it. I couldn't have. I mean, murder. Of course. You have nothing to worry about. Your conscience is perfectly clean. Isn't that right? I mean, I can voice it for you, you know. Yes, it is perfectly clean. Your voice is already half dead, man. I absolutely have no doubt in my mind about your innocence. Which is why I'll stand by you until the bitter end in this trial. Whatever happens, I'll always be on your side. Because that's what it means to be a defense lawyer. That and, like, I might have to take a couple of breaks between. No, it's not. Defendant counsel, court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. You should go in at once, Ray. If we're late, the judge won't hesitate to pronounce you guilty. Are you sure you want to? Because you're gonna have to stick the whole case out during break and whatnot. Like, I can load up Discord. We can do this. We can go this route. I'll jump in streaming, and then I'll have to stream to it. Screen, no. Forget what I have to do here. How do we work this last time? Oh, that worked. Up to you. Well, I'm streaming there right now. If you're joining in, you gotta join fairly quick.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Prosecution's ready. Oh God. Okay, I need to like strike a balance here. Can you say something?
Hello, hello.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the game down and in a little bit with your voice here, so that we have some. So that way,
Well, apparently there's a new feature in Discord where you can have text in the voice too. Interesting.
Huh.
So no more clogging general. Send messages, images, and links to everyone in the voice channel.
Huh. That's pretty neat. I don't think I've ever seen her run so fast. Well, Sasato, you've certainly surprised your father, going to such lengths to be admitted into the courtroom, and with no prior experience of being a lawyer. There was simply no other way. That's all there is to it. But father, you haven't told her, have you? I mean, I'm right in assuming that Ray doesn't know how it came to this. Yes, quite right. I've kept that information from her. It would only worry her if she found out that no other lawyer would agree to take her case. I didn't want to be a burden burden her with that, and is that true? The reason why every other lawyer is refusing to take the case. It really is because of who the victim was. We should be making a move now, too. As you know, law is in my field, but I'll do what I can to support my student. Thank you, Father. So, I'm Susato Mikatoba, a judicial assistant. 8 months ago, I accompanied a student of law on a study trip to Great Britain. But 2 months ago, due to unforeseen circumstances, I found myself back in Japan. How many times have I wished for that he were here, I wonder. Still, I have no choice now but to steel myself for the trial ahead. Wish me luck, Naruhodo-san. Now the question is she Naruhodo or is she Kazuma? But I imagine news of Kazuma dying would have reached Japan by then. So she's probably Naruhodo. Here we go. Yes.
You see it, didn't you?
That's amazing. This court is now in session to hear the trial of Ray Mimbani. Here you go.
Prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Honor. Your Excellency.
I'm going to turn you up just a little more. Say something again.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
Okay, go again. One more time.
Come on. Shouldn't we be asking stream how my voice sounds?
Oh, I'm looking at the voice thing, so I'm making sure you overshadow the game, but as well as match my voice in volume.
The prosecution is fully ready to proceed, Your Excellency.
There we go.
And there's
Defense counsel, are you ready? Yes, Your Excellency. We are ready. Ready. Oh, she's doing his mannerisms. Yes, Council. According to your registration details, your name is, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Is that correct? Ryotaro? Sorry. Yes, I come up with a suitable male name for you for this little venture. So I'm afraid I simply put down the first name that sprung to mind. Well, Council. Yes, that's right. That's me. I mean, yes, I am Ryotaro, who has vowed to uphold the pride of the great Naruhodo clan. Ah, it seems Ryotaro may need to consider how better to uphold his manly act in first and not overdo it. I want to see this animated so well, and those wild, wide eyes aren't doing you any favors either. Just relax and listen. Naruhodo.
We'll say a couple things real quick. Number one, if you want me to do other characters' voices, just say so.
Yep.
Number two, an interesting fact for this case specifically is that in the original drafts for the script of this game, Mikatoba was supposed to be the defendant.
Oh.
She was supposed to be defending her father, but due to the awkwardness of like, hey, he's the defendant and he's helping guide you through how to play and how this case is,
yeah,
they decided to scrap that, and that's how Ray became to be a character.
Oh, okay. Well, good decision.
Yes. It's like, oh, hey, I'm the defendant. By the way, this is how you do cross examinations. This is how you present evidence. I'm a fresh face in this courtroom, if I'm not mistaken. But the name Naruhodo, would that perchance be?
You may be thinking of Urunaseke Naruhodo, currently in Britain as part of the study program, sir. This is, his cousin. That's right. Ryotaro here has been studying in the provinces, but was called to the capital for this trial. I assure you, in matters of law, his knowledge rivals that of any of Tokyo's preeminent lawyers. Any of them.
Tut, tut, tut. What a pitiful situation. Having been rejected by every lawyer in the capital, the accused had to call a country boy.
How dare you? Sasato is every bit as gallant and dashing as any of your Tokyo attorneys. I won't have you making fun of her. If I could,
Ray,
yeah.
screw this up.
If I could like press a button and summon Rolo to do Mikatoba and her, this would be amazing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so summon Rolo. Please be careful, Ray.
What an unrefined tomboy we have here. But I wonder, is your gallant and dashing lawyer up to the challenge of defending you? His wide, skittish eyes very much suggest that he is not.
I'm so nervous. Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand what Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, eyes are wont to flit. What? I think it'd be funnier if she was like pretending to be Naruhodo and like mimicking everything. The case to be heard in this day is a matter of great significance to our national interest. In fact, it would be reasonable to assume that the outcome of this trial may well affect the very future of our empire.
Just like the trial 9 months ago. And yet, for proceedings of such importance, we have this unknown yokel by the duck. Dear me.
Perhaps this would be an appropriate moment for me to assess the evidence, to determine whether you are sufficiently competent to practice in the courtroom. 9 months ago, when a certain Naruhodo stood where you're standing now, the same judge tested him as well. And even though he was just a student at the time, not even a law, he passed the test with flying colors.
The test is frickin' easy.
Flying colors. For a trained and experienced judicial assistant like you, this will be easy. So, counsel, do you consent to answering some simple questions?
It's like, do I even have a choice?
Okay, like, I know she's pretending to be a guy, but her female figure's coming out of that dress really well.
Oh, what's even funnier is to like for game 2, like you can have alternate outfits for her, Naruhodo, and Shomes.
Oh
And her
no.
outfit, like I had that turned on from the beginning. So at first I was like confused, like what the heck? And then someone's like, oh, you have the alternate outfit on, turn that off. So I go back to the settings, turn it off, and then I see this, I just die laughing. Because if you have her alternate outfit on, it's just like, how do they suspect this girl?
That's amazing.
Or how do they suspect this not a girl?
Your Excellency, but please do make them simple. Very well, to start with, you will state the name of the victim. Whew, that is simple. I couldn't forget that if I tried. Sasato! What's the matter? Now that I'm standing in his shoes, I'm starting to understand something else Naruhodo-san goes through. Like it or not, mines are, won't be blank. What the hell is she on about? It's not surprising, really. It's your first time in this position, and in that guise, even a bright spark like you is bound to flicker and falter under the circumstances. Oh dear, this is a dismal failure. Don't fret, you need only use the knowledge you've gained as a judicial assistant to overcome the problem. Of course, the court record. Yes, the answer will be amongst all the key information about the case in the court record. That's right, just use R to open up the court record. Then you need to flip the people section with R. And don't take too long over it. His Excellency is watching you closely. Alright, check the court record with R. That's where the information will be. They don't give the method, do they?
Read. Did you not read? It said how she died.
Trauma to the victim's lung by a knife blade. Only a single wound was unidentified. So a single stab wound. Giselle Brett. Former British exchange student. 9 months ago, she was found guilty of the murder visiting Dr. John Wilson. Yeah, that's true. I'm waiting, counsel. What is the name of the victim in this case? Yes. Hi. The name of the victim who lost her life in this case is Miss Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett. A name that will never be forgotten in the courtrooms of our country, I'm sure. Correct. And being a member of our empire's judiciary, you will be well aware of the significance of that name. So, let me pose another simple question. As you know, Miss Brett was a visiting student from the Empire of Great Britain. Why then is her name indelibly associated with our own empire judicial history? Obviously, you won't have forgotten the case from 9 months ago. But if it's proving hard to recall the finer points, everything you need is included in the court record. Obviously, I still remember. That was the start of everything. Giselle Brett. Behind the woman's student persona was the face of a killer.
Queen Victoria.
Hi. 9 months ago, a visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial University was killed. And the culprit was Giselle Brett. Yes, she was a killer. I'm not getting over how I said, I want her dead, and it happened. At one time, our country had signed a new treaty with the Empire of Great Britain. And it was in the midst of a delicate diplomatic situation that the incident occurred. An Englishman, Dr. John H. Wilson, was shot dead. I do believe he was an associate of yours, Professor Mikotoba. Yes, I was indebted to the man. He's been my mentor when I went to London to study forensic medicine. Indeed, it was I who invited him here to Japan as a visiting professor at a university. Naturally, the murder of an Englishman on our soil was a matter our government wished to resolve rapidly. Indeed it was, which is why a secret trial was conducted here in the Supreme Court.
Also, it's interesting to note in that description of the events, they said that Wilson got shot even though he was poisoned.
Yeah.
Did they forget that?
Did they actually?
Yeah, it said he was shot and it didn't mention he was poisoned. At least I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he said it was shot dead. What the hell? A second-year English language student by the name of Runosuke Naruhodo. With the help of his best friend, a student lawyer, the accused conducted his own defense. and exposed the despicable crime committed by Miss Giselle Brett. Miss Brett eventually admitted to her crime. However, when questioned about the motive that drove her to take Dr. Wilson's life, she gave no satisfactory answer before the trial reached its conclusion. Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its own consular jurisdiction into play. Yes.
Aren't I supposed to read Yuichi?
Fuck. Go.
We were unable to sentence Miss Brett accordingly.
You can go back if you want.
Immediately after the trial, the British government brought its consular jurisdiction into play. We were Earl!
We were
unable to sentence Miss Brett according to our empire's laws. It was decided that she would be removed to Shanghai, China instead.
Why Shanghai? There's a British consular court there. Oh. Correct, I oversaw the negotiations personally. The date of her transfer to Shanghai was finally settled upon only last week. All that remained of our empire's obligations was to see the woman safely on board a steamship.
And yet, the very day before her departure, the Englishwoman was killed.
Probably to keep her quiet. Only the day before. That will do. I'm satisfied with that. Counsel for the defense is sufficiently capable of representing the defendant. Oh. Thank you, Your Excellency. Over the first hurdle. Now, a summary of the incident, if you please. Prosecutor Achi. I missed it.
As is your wish, Your Excellency. The repugnant crime took place on the 11th of August in broad daylight. On the outskirts of the imperial capital, under a bright blue sky, at a secluded bathing spot by the sea.
Bathing spot?
The incident occurred inside a small beach hut, erect for the bathers to rest or change their clothes. The cause of death was a single stab wound to the posterior abdomen that pierced the victim's lung. An injury which proved fatal.
Stabbed through the back or the front?
To the back. There were only two persons along together in the beach hut at the time of the victim's death. Miss Brett, in her bathing attire, and the accused, Raymond Brumby. And accordingly, there can be no doubt of the accused's guilt, especially when we consider she had a powerful motive.
Hold up. In her bathing attire, she's wearing the full fucking dress. Anyways.
Yeah, I did read that. The police arrived rapidly at the scene and promptly arrested the young lady.
Well, that extraordinary description of events leaves me somewhat lost for words, I must say. That's certainly true. The prosecution summary was full of words that raised an awful lot of questions. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution's counsel on what he said about. Really?
Also, Earl, have you picked up on the pun in Ray's name?
Remember? Remember me.
Remember me.
I like that one. I really got to pick up the prosecution on what he said about. The bathing spot is not really important. Being alone together is pretty big. But the motive.
Excuse me.
Yeah, we need the motive to be clarified here. You're clearly exaggerating. Powerful motive is a blatant overstatement.
It's a yokel boy using long words he doesn't fully understand.
I beg your pardon?
No matter. Let's put this to the accused, shall we? Mbami-san, you are a research assistant at the Imperial Humane University, I believe.
Yes, I am. I'm working with Professor Mikotoba in his laboratory at the moment. I can confirm that the defendant is an excellent assistant with a strong sense of responsibility.
Fascinating to hear. Now, another question. Prior to your work with Professor Mikotoba, whose research were you assisting then?
Oh, I was studying under Dr. John H. Wilson. Oh no. Dr. Wilson, the visiting English professor who was murdered by Miss Brett 9 months ago. I get it.
Dun dun dun. The accused had a deep-seated respect for her former mentor, Dr. Wilson. Is that not true?
Yes, Dr. Wilson was a wonderful man.
Interesting. And tell the court what deep-seated feelings you had towards the Englishwoman who killed him.
Well, obviously I was filled with hatred for what she'd done. A powerful hatred. Shut up, Ray. Oh no, Ray, be careful what you're saying.
The motive was revenge. Plain and simple, Your Excellency.
Well, it was clearly a trap all along. How could have to use Ray's undying respect for her former mentor against her like that? I must find out more details. It's something we can use to bolster our defense. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution's counsel on what he said about. Let's see if he was really alone.
Well, you needed to do multiple for this one.
Yeah. Mambani-san. Yes, what is it, Sisa? Naruhodo-san. I really got started when we'd made my allies, Ryotaro Sasato. Please tell the court why exactly you were present at the bathing spot with the victim in the first place, and why you were alone with her. Oh, well, no, that's not true. It wasn't like that at all. There were other people present, a detective who was guarding Miss Brett for starters. That's interesting. I was just asked to accompany Miss Brett as a companion, that's all. But let us be... Damn it.
Clear.
Go again.
But let us be clear. At the moment of her death, you are alone together with the victim in the hut. You and no one else. The truth is, there's only one reason why this young woman accompanied Miss Brett on her bathing sojourn. It was the accused's last chance to take the victim's life.
No.
Because, as we know, the following day would see Miss Brett extradited to the British authorities in Shanghai. And the accused would never have an opportunity to dispatch her again.
Kindly refrain from conjecture, counsel. Damn, she's actually pretty competent. Prosecution counsel seems to enjoy using provocative tricks like that. But for now, at least, we need to assemble more facts. Try not to let them goad you. Oh dear, this is really terrifying, but Father's right, we need more information. As a lawyer, I really ought to pick up the prosecution's counsel on what he said about, now the bathing spot. Where is it? Are we in Okinawa? If I may, Professor Achi.
Prosecutor, but... What do you want, you fresh-faced young yokel student?
I wonder, could you explain, please? You mentioned a bathing spot.
Ha! My apologies. Clearly my modernity has confused the poor country bumpkin's simple mind. Bathing spots are the very latest trend in health practices from the West. We are told that bathing in the water of the ocean is curative, therapeutic, and excellent for the skins.
No, that's not what I meant. I was referring to the fact that Miss Brett had, to all intents and purposes, been found guilty of murder. Why would a known criminal have been relaxing by the sea?
For old time's sakes, I believe.
Sorry?
Miss Brett was to depart from Shanghai the following day. Her final wish, as it were, was to enjoy a day at our country's wonderful coast. And the British Embassy put extreme pressure on our government to comply.
But on what grounds would we agree to such a request? Because, as usual, our government is unable to stand up to foreign powers. In matters of diplomacy, it seems we don't even have the courage to decline the whims of a known criminal.
Don't look at me, Professor. It was the government who granted permission, not I. In any case, it was decided that with a dedicated detective on duty, nothing could go wrong.
But, in fact, a murder took place.
I said don't look at me. It was a young student girl who did it, not I.
No one has proved that yet. I wouldn't provoke that man if you don't need to. I believe we all have a clear picture of the incident now. Despite her guilt being determined 9 months ago, Miss Brett managed to avoid incarceration instead of continuing her research work at the university. Obviously, over that period, she and Ray would have encountered each other on a number of occasions. Seeing the murder of a mentor of whom she had such great respect, enjoying such an undeserved liberty. Yes, even if it was only temporary until Miss Brett's extradition to Shanghai. You can hardly blame Ray for her feelings of anger and resentment. Poor Ray.
So, Your Excellency, if you'd be so kind to pursue this exhibit. A photographic print that shows the scene of the crime immediately following the grim incident.
That's swimwear? Sorry. Okay.
No, Pearl. Just ignore it. Just move on.
You cancel a tragic image.
As you can clearly see, there is nowhere within the hut that anyone could have hidden.
The court will accept this photograph for printed to evidence. As I understand it, the victim and the defendant were alone inside the reach at the time. That is deeply troubling, I must say. The finger of guilt points firmly at the defendant.
Well, Your Excellency, naturally the prosecution has much more to its case. We intend to prove the accused of appalling actions beyond all possible contention. To that end, I can confirm that we have multiple witnesses to the crime and damning evidence.
Witnesses, but who?
One of whom, I might add, is a highly respected police detective. I assure you, the testimony of the witnesses will leave no room for doubt.
Very well then, counsel, bring forth your witnesses.
I, Takatsuki Euchi, have been waiting for this moment.
Sorry?
Oh yes, I haven't forgotten that trial 9 months ago, here in this very courthouse. When that irreverent little student boy utterly humiliated me. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Ah, yes.
This insult to the Uchi family name will never be forgotten.
You become conceited with age, counsel, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that.
I love how in this scene Ryunosuke just runs away. He's just like, zoop, gone.
Oh yeah, his hair's still
His
cut
hair's
off
still
from
cut.
it. I forgot about that. Go ahead.
Strike the head of a samurai whose top knot has been cut and the bell of cultural enlightenment tolls. Yes, on that fateful day, my former self died.
The start of your own mini Meiji revolution. Are you modernizing as well, Council?
Silence! Since I swore revenge back then, there has been a minor miracle atop my head. Observe the AUG growth. You see the seed of hope sprouting forth from the barren expanse of my crown.
I think the tiny growth is trying to tell me something. I'm afraid I can't really see where and what is this hope exactly.
I said silence! Today, I face another yokel student of the Naruhodo clan. Well, I will vanquish you. And my victory will be fertilized with the seed of hope atop my head. You have been warned. With that, the prosecution calls its witnesses to the stand.
Looks like the stakes are high on both sides in this trial. Prosecution and defense each has much to lose. A haircut is hardly comparable to Ray's life.
And here come the witnesses.
I knew it was him. Oh. Oh no. See, I was like deeply hoping one of the witnesses did it, right? But I didn't expect to see two very familiar and good faces. Who the
Would
fuck?
you like me to take over either voice? Or both, whatever you want me to do?
If you could do the butler.
You mean police detective?
Yeah.
We know Detective Holsenaga?
Yeah. If you could do him, please.
Witnesses, please state your names and occupations for the court. Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga, Imperial Police Bureau.
Fucking
In disguise,
turtle.
obviously, so I can go undetected.
And I am, well, the next big thing in the books. An author renowned throughout the capital, in fact. Yes. Soon to be sold out, the satirical Am I a Cat? Sensational Success by Soseki Natsume. I like the guy behind him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, when he popped up, I was laughing.
Struggling student from the provinces, please, you needn't be in awe of me. I needn't. It's only natural that you feel nervous in my presence. But all of you, please relax. Call me Saseki, even. Yes. What on earth is Saseki-san doing here? Tread carefully, Sasato. That author fellow knows you from your time in London, doesn't he? If he exposes you for who you really are, this will be over before it's begun. Yes, of course, I know. I presume Saseki-san won't have forgotten about me. I could certainly never forget him. Although he does seem to have changed somewhat from that 6 months or so it has been since I last saw him. And as for Inspector Hosonaga, that amazing outfit is, hard to believe. Do I have something on my face? Oh, fuck.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Do I have something on my face?
Well, your glasses for one, although they don't seem to be helping you, see. Thank goodness he hasn't recognized me either.
Ah, I suppose this is a disguise, is it? I thought that I appearing here in the clothes I was wearing at the time would make for a more faithful testimony. It is my guiding principle to carry out all testimonies flawlessly.
Well, I can appreciate why an Imperial Police Bureau detective might have been present. But what business does a writer such as yourself have being at the scene, Saseki-san? Ah, well, you see, I had been asked that day to give a lecture on the morning of the incident in the Imperial Yume University's Grand Lecture Hall, no less. At Yume University? After the lecture, I had very pleasant conversation with the researcher from the Medical Science Department. The professor over there, in fact. With my father, with Professor Mikotoba. Yes, that's right, it was arranged by one of the newspapers. They wanted some story or another about two former students who studied in Great Britain. Of course, being a renowned author, the press never leaves me alone. They secretly spy, snapshots, scribble stories, and scupper my privacy. This freaking guy in the back. Huh. As you can see, the conversation was written up in this newspaper here. Read it at your leisure, my provincial struggling with student friend. I have plenty of copies. Thank you very much. He practically threw the paper at me.
He's like my parents. Anytime like I have any mention in the newspaper, they get a bunch of copies and just start throwing them around.
Anyway, following the interview with the professor, I gotta see this. Hey, he has another cat.
Meow.
Trying to see what's interesting here.
Me, who knows what the interesting stuff about everything is.
The lady in question appeared and made a very unexpected announcement. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. Those were her words. As I explained before, Miss Brett was never taken into custody. She continued to work in my laboratory under strict surveillance, of course. At which utterance,
the university immediately contact the government to seek guidance.
I stopped myself before the third word, man.
And also because I started talking too. And our response was, permit Miss Brett to go as long as the detective accompanies her. That detective, I am at liberty to divulge, was me, Chief Inspector Satoru Hosonaga. Thereby, the entire party departed cordially for the seaside, it seems. It was extremely challenging to clear all other members of the public from the vicinity of the beach. But fortunately, I'm at peak physical fitness at the moment, so I was able to carry out my duty flawlessly.
Oh, my inspector, you. Well, you do have something on your face now.
Zero Dragon, shut up. Ah, how unsightly. I do apologize.
Does that mean you went to the beach too, Father? No, fortunately I had work to finish off. But unfortunately, of course, it meant that as my assistant Ray was invited to take my place. Of course, being a renowned author, I don't like to decline the invitation. Ah, but if only I had, I'd never seen that awful sight. Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret. I am hoping it's not Saseki-san. Please don't let it be him. Very well, I must now ask you to present your formal testimony to the court. You will give an account of all that you witnessed on your impromptu excursion to the coast.
Of course, Your Excellency.
Relentlessly racked by remorse and regret, I am.
By the way, Earl, did you ever look at that funny image I posted in the pictures chat that I told you about? I think I put it in share your stuff.
Where is it?
Share your stuff. Like I told you, I had a funny screenshot from Case6, like an accidental freeze frame. It's quite hilarious.
Just looking for it right now.
Need me to ping you? Can you not find share your stuff?
I found it. Goddamn, his mouth is like totally agape. Good God.
Look at that. Like, look at Graydon behind it. It's like,
Oh my God.
I straight up used both of those in a screenshot, in the thumbnail for my video. I need to get back to editing it.
On the day of the incident.
On the day of the incident, I was ordered on a special surveillance assignment in disguise.
I just managed to catch that crab when I suddenly heard a caterwaul from behind me. Hold on a second.
What? You have an issue already? By the way, can you read any of the surrounding text, like, just for fun?
I can make out some of it, actually. Like, I'm making out some of the kanji here. I don't have a mouse to point to, but I can pretty much make out like words like
Alright, so let's talk about the big bar on the right. That's probably about this the article with Saseki in October, right?
Yeah. So let me see the. I can't read the. Let me start from bottom top. So the bottom character is Hiragana Ru. right? Like if you go to the cat and go to the character to the right, it's hiragana, and then I can't read that kanji even though I know it has the speak particle under it. The line on top throws me off. It could be ni something number 2, and then oki, right? So you have the big kanji there, and then the 3 kanji up top I don't understand. Going below it, right? If you look under Ru, you see characters underneath it, and you read for Japanese from right to left. Let's start with the shit. I don't know where's a good way to point. I guess
there's not the text surrounding it is not important in this case. There is one case where like you get a newspaper article and reading text around it is very helpful in figuring stuff out.
yeah.
This is not one. I was just interested to see if you could read any of that because I had no idea what any of it was saying, but it's not relevant. I ran into the beach hut at once, where I found a pair in question.
Yes, yes, yes. The young girl was astride an Englishwoman, dagger in hand, as she stabbed wildly.
I saw the blood on the blade. That proved to me she had stabbed the victim multiple times.
I already know the contradiction here.
There is no contradiction here. No, not at all.
Indeed, it does appear from the testimony that both witnesses present saw it, the very moment of this heinous crime. What?
Now, if you will recall, I promised evidence as well. What did I use again? Ah, yes. It was damning piece of evidence. Damning.
What have you there, counsel? A so-called fountain pen, is it?
Correct, Your Excellency. I found it at the scene whilst examining the body. It appears that in her dying moments, there was a final ounce of strength. The victim clutched a piece of evidence that would positively identify her killer.
What?
Your Excellency, if you would cast your eye over the perfect print of the crime scene once more.
Ah, goodness me. Yes, the victim is clearly grasping something quite deliberately there in her hand.
That's right, the fountain pen. And if you would kindly examine the pen, Your Excellency.
The owner's initials have been engraved into the ebonite barrel. R.M. Raymond Bonney. The initials of the defendant.
Dun,
no.
dun, dun.
She even does the whole, like, booted into the wall thing. The fountain pen will be admitted immediately as critical evidence.
So, have I admitted anything? Decisive testimony and damning evidence. There's a bright blue sky outside the courthouse today. Perfect weather to ascribe guilt, I feel.
I don't understand. The prosecution Achi of 9 months ago had none of this man's poise.
If he had any poise to begin with.
Counsel for the defense, you may begin your cross-examination now. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo. That means... Oh, yes. Me. Is there any other Naruhodo in my courtroom? Actually, there isn't even a single Naruhodo in your courtroom. Cousin Ryotaro, pull yourself together, please. Alright, I've seen this countless times as a judicial assistant. Find inconsistencies of the witnesses' testimonies to prove that they're lying somehow. That's all there is to it. That's how a real lawyer would handle a cross-examination. So let's see what I can do.
You know, it'd be funny if there was someone in in a galley who's actually Naruhodo be like, I don't know who that is.
Before I do anything. Oh, I can't examine it. Rip.
You can't examine anything yet. It's very sad. But to have something to examine, you must have. But to examine, you must have something to examine, right? They've already told you everything about the pen, so why would you want to examine it?
Something is throwing me off about this picture, and I don't know what it is.
Why? What would throw you off? What's wrong with this picture that make you question it? Think aloud, Earl. Think aloud.
Okay, I'll think aloud, and then I'll end the not the stream, just like the part. I think disguises in this case are what matters here. I think the author or the guy one of the two we're seeing in this photo are not one of the two people we're actually supposedly seeing in this photo. I feel like a disguise is at hand somewhere, and I'm just trying to plank it off. I think the author we're seeing right now might not be the guy who we're actually seeing. That being said, I'm just trying to think. I don't know why I'm sussing out the prosecution right now. I don't know why. I just kind of am.
Why? Why would you think Aoki is?
I, I don't think Archie has anything to do with it. He's just acting really sus. There's no other reason. Like there's no like evidence or anything like that. I just feel really weird about him in this case. Uh, that being said, I feel like there is an additional disguise being used at hand here. Going into the photo, I think someone is either small enough to fit inside this dress and stab from behind or something like that, and she flew over. I also want to know more about the suitcase. Whoa, 888. Interesting.
Those are masks.
Oh, okay. I'm such an idiot then.
Well, you know that's the exact picture of the mask she's always holding, right?
Yeah. First of all, we don't see her face, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
you never see her actual face. It's always covered by a mask.
that always drove me nuts. Footprints
But it's not
wise,
relevant. It is not relevant though to see
yeah,
her full face,
we have footprints also in the sand and everything like that. I
which makes sense.
right. If there's any footprints from there, there is also a crack in this fence here, right, and a chair there. So she could have been sitting in the chair, and then someone could have just plopped right up, stabbed her in the back while the other was in the courtroom. So it could have in the house. So someone could have just plopped her from the back there and not have hidden under the dress. So that could have been anyone outside it, which also places, assuming that my method is correct, that places our guy on the right as one of the potential people who were there, as well as the detective, which is also really damning. I don't think the detective would do it, but the only one to tell a lie right now was him.